finding support and resistance. Again, as I was just saying, you're going to find this is what you need to eventually do. When you come into a play, you first look at it. You could be an hour in, 10 minutes in, 30 minutes in. You need to start defining these things. And like I said, it's not too complicated. And it will, again, take some time to learn, to notice, to get it right on. Sometimes you're a little off it when you first start trying to find support and resistance. But it's pretty much as simple as this. You find areas that are bouncing, that's your support. Find areas running into, literally resistance where it's, coming back down and failing. It's your resistance. And then sometimes your old resistance equals what? New support. And we're running into what? New resistance. But when we do break above it, what's this going to be? All of a sudden, it's going to be what, team? A blue line for support. Now, let's get into my examples, and I use red and green. Green just saying, hey, buy. But again, some of the examples you saw yesterday, right? Notice right when you come into some of these plays, and these will be literally, these are going to be examples from last year and a little almost a year ago in April. So literally, I'm going to use one up until about 2 or 3 weeks ago. About 2 weeks ago, I guess it was this now. But again, come in and notice the same thing, just like this above, like this. You're doing the same thing. I'm doing the same thing right here. Doing the same thing. Support. Run into resistance. We didn't come back down. I could have turned that green. Of course, it would have bounced on it, but it didn't. But now we're fine. Okay, new support. I could have, put the line up a little higher, but I just kind of wanted to, some of these I want to kind of generically show you where they're at so they're not kind of clogging up the chart itself. Again, old resistance. Now we're running, okay, now I'm going to put a red line there, but when we break above it, and especially when we start bouncing on it, of course, this was my trade finally right here. Old resistance equals new support. Look how we got it later in that double whammy bounce off the VWAP. Even later on, still trying to hold this area, even when we're getting weak and, collapsing. Notice those when you first come into trades. Kind of like we are just looking at a second ago with these, what was it, CELC, or I think it was CELC, yeah, with the ascending triangle. Oh, there was a crack right there. Look at the crack too. CELC cracked that trend line. It looked about like this, didn't it? Team squeezing, didn't get above the old resistance, and that's what happens. That's why we put the trend line in, because we know when we crack, that's your support. Now we know to get out if we're in or to short it. Like, me, I love my trend line shorts because we know when we finally crack this right here, it's going to fall back to, like, say, the VWAP. But again, put your trend lines in here. Huge to have. Like yesterday, what I was kind of showing you, the start, which I'm going to have a trend line lesson, but the starter. Now we know for sure we have a trend line. Remember right here, the full first bounce, we have to put it in right there, and we're just going to keep continuing this up. So here's your real first bounce that you can buy. So your second bounce, your third bounce, your fourth bounce. As we get past the third one, we're getting iffy. But notice where your support and your resistance is. In this case, a trend line, old resistance from high of day spike. Look how it comes back to beautiful support plus the trend lines there. Again, a play like SNDX. Man, last April, I'm telling you, team was hot. Remember, this was 4. I just showed you 2 from 429. Now I'm showing you one, right? Was that the other one from 4? That was from, okay, this is a Christmas one. Actually, this is from Christmas. This is from 12/23. This is OCGN from 12/23. This is just before Christmas, OCGN 12/23. But here we go. This is 4/28. The one before, the CREX, the CREX trade was 4/29. This is 4/28. I'm telling you, team, April is hot. Come on, April. But anyway, old resistance spiking high of day equals new support. Even later on, look at these bounce plays off of this old high of day resistance. Again, old high of day resistance when we get to a new high of day equals new support, even later on. Old resistance, now we're at a new high of day, equals new support later on. I'm telling you, it may seem hard at first, but again, once you see a spike, go ahead and draw your red line in there, right around these upper shadows and highs, team, and especially in a hot time, and at least the first bounce, regardless, 8 to 9 times out of 10, you're going to see a bounce. Sometimes, of course, in slower times like now, you may not see the biggest of bounces, but you're going to get one of some sort. Old resistance equals new support. Sometimes it isn't, again, me going, again, the whole quarter thing, every 25 cents, natural support. Well, you're just, no, someone like, again, always, whoever it was calling me out a few weeks ago, a month ago, 2, whatever it was now. No, I'm looking at the chart. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say this is where your support and resistance is, me just going back and looking to see what it did earlier. That's where my support and resistance is going to be. Again, I showed this one yesterday. Cap R, love this trade. Beautiful. I mean, it was so awesome. There, another one. Here's the other one from 429. So Cap R, remember I showed you CREX. CREX, right here from 429. 429.20, as you can see right up here. This ran from 95 cents. Remember, this one ran up to $4. Remember the ultimate run, and my other it ran up to $4 or $5, and right in Power Hour. And then also, this was on 428 the day before. Then on 429 cap R here, as you, well, I guess you can, we'll see in this slide, goes up to $7+. Whew, the end of April was hot. Whew, whew. All right, so again, why do we want finding support and resistance? Back to that, Josh. Back to that, AK. Again, finding support, finding resistance. Now, I could see right here, and we did see a bounce. Wasn't the greatest of bounces, but we saw one. And I did kind of like this small little wedge right here at this 410-ish area, right above $4, right? Was perfect. Did get 2 solid bounces back up to 450, really 3, until we finally cracked that area. And why did we want the 375 area? Again, why did we want the 375 area? We're looking at what you're looking at, past chart history. Whether it's what it's doing that day or what it did a year ago, 6 months ago, 7 months ago, you want to go study that. You want to look at that. You want to go, okay, again, consider yourself a doctor. I'm reading your chart. I'm studying you. What have you done? And look like just like a doctor going, well, you know, get out the scalpel. I think here at 375, we can pick us out a great little bounce play here. Give me a scalpel. Yeah, please, please. Thank you. Thank you, nurse. But again, look, how many upper shadows we saw there going, okay, hey, and me and Deck were alerting this, going, hey, if this can just pull straight down, well, that's later on the day, it's cap R again, but if this can just pull straight down, and that was still, could have showed you there, but right to it. I mean, this was at $5. This is like when I was kind of talking about yesterday as a bounce play, finding support and resistance. Now, if it didn't hit there, it didn't hit there, but we knew if this came down to 375, oh, we're golden for it's going to bounce. It is going to bounce, and that was the end-all, be-all, lowest bounce you would have seen. That was it. 375, that area. Look at this. It runs up to 750. Then on the day, it goes all the way up to what? Oh, wrong one, AK. You know, runs up to, okay, so that was a 750, but this is the end of the day. It's at 656, holding its gains. You know, not back down here, you know, in the $5 area, you know, or even the $4 area like we'd see now. Look where it runs up to later in the day. Runs up to 845, so that wasn't even the end of the day. This was at 11 anyway, so you get my point. This continued to run. So opening bell, we have a dip close to 375 by lunch hours, almost about right where we are. Well, actually, this is an hour later because this is Central Standard Time. About an hour later, we're up to 845. Continuation. But again, looking at a chart, say if you come in there, I could have put more lines in. I just want to overcloud it. I could have put another red line here that went across, and then look, then it turned green right here. It would have turned green for a beautiful bounce off of this old resistance at 750. Look at this beautiful bounce right there. Beautiful. Again, kind of that same area right here off of that. But again, finding your old resistance equals new support. Old resistance equals new support. Old resistance area equals new support. Really could have put it green right there already. But you get my point. You're just looking at the chart team. And okay, here I did kind of put that cap R later in the day. But there you go. Red line over to here. Resistance runs into a beautiful bounce. Really more around that 740-ish area. Again, not 750, right? Kind of more around 740 was the bounce right there. Again, ran in, and this was one of the alerts I remember having in chat and pulled up yesterday, which we'll get into this afternoon. The dip by bounce play lesson. The 785-ish area, right? 775, 785, and then one thing, I think it was 785. Look at that. Old resistance broke above it up to about 830-ish area. I remember alerting, hey, watch for a pullback to old, because it was doing that. You know, when these plays get these awesome trend lines that are not too steep, but just steep enough where you're getting bounces off of them, barely rising above old resistance, these pullbacks are great. I know it doesn't seem like much, but I'm telling you, when it's hot, you're hoping you can get a pullback of, just please pull back 60 cents. At the time, you're like, yeah, that'd be huge because it's just continuing to run, right? So, you know, pullback from say 830, 825 here to 8, you know, or 785, that's a good pullback. Trust it. Bounces multiple times here and then continues to a new high a day. Showed this one yesterday. That's why we leave pre-market on, right? Always leaving pre-market on. Bounce here, bounce here. We know when we get to in market after a second bounce, the third bounce, again, we're getting that last pure bounce that we know we can trust. It's the third one. We're still good on the third one, right? Remember, third halt up, we're still good. You better get out of that third halt up. You know, when it goes live, you better get out of most of your shares because it's most likely usually going to fall, right? Well, same with that third bounce. We know after that one, we were kind of a little iffy. If this was the fourth bounce, I wouldn't have trusted it as much. It was a third. And it was the market open. So it was going to have more volume, more so for sure than it had in pre-market. And it did. Not that it was crazy volume, but enough. Traders saw the bounce, came in with me. Well, not like, oh, we're going to, they know what I mean, though. But boom, they saw it. They saw the same thing I was seeing. These bounces at 240. Wafoo. Man, we traded this a lot. WAFU. One of the first times I remember trading it early last year. This back in June, regardless, though. Kind of a little small platform. That's why I was kind of showing you earlier with this trade right here, the cap R. Saying, okay, I could see a little bit of a bounce if someone wanted this bounce right here. You know, say the little wedge, and that just shows you with this next slide I'm about to show you how that, and it was a bounce, did hold up as support. Look how, again, that holds up as beautiful support right here for Wafoo. Little wedge-ish area right there, right? Same type look, right? Beautiful bounce. Beautiful bounce. Beautiful bounce. Okay, 1, 2, 3. What happens, team, after the third bounce? Ooh, better take your profit and just not worry about the fourth bounce. Comes down a little bit lower, and yeah, it does look, which is funny, it does finally go to even a new, essentially kind of close to high of day area. These are just nasty, which doesn't happen too often with Thinkorswim, but these are just misprints, team. That really didn't happen. Even this high of day at 16 is fake. This was literally the high of day. But again, look at the beautiful bounce off of this little wedge area continuation. Saw one off the upper shadows, right? I could have put a line in, and I didn't want to clutter it up. But look at the upper shadows. Go all the way over. Look at the first bounce off of $8 where it did have the upper shadows. Beautiful bounce. Probably went up to $8.50 because this is 8 to 10. So that's probably about 50 cents or close to it. Come down, getting more 50-cent bounces. Plenty of them this time on the whatever area this is. About probably 750-ish area. 770, 765, whatever this ends up being. Plenty of bounces, heads up. Again, it's all about finding where your support is from earlier, right? Old resistance, which this is just kind of green because I could have put red right there. Really greenish because this always was support. And that's why I always say, and I tell it to anyone, the upper shadows and lower shadows usually are going to see bounces. So especially when they range 50-ish cents like this, when you see some at 8, you're going to get bounces at 8. You see the lower shadow part right here, and it ended up holding the best at 7. We'll just call it 750. Beauty, better, right? Even better. It held. The lower part did. So always put these lines in. Like I said, there are traders in chat that used to have, don't see them too often anymore, but they would have 20, 30 lines in. I mean, at least 15 to 20, and you're just like, whoa. Again, old resistance equals new support. Old resistance equals new support. But again, look at, I love this line. Old resistance equals new support. Crack below it. So what? Old support equals new resistance, team, right? Because, of course, at one point in time, it was resistance before. So now we've broken back above the resistance again. Becomes new support. Resistance, support, resistance, support. That easy. And I hate to say that easy, but it is. It's just finding your resistance, your higher upper, these upper shadows. 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you get surge and you break above it, oh baby, you're going to get a bounce on it beautifully later. Comes right down to it. And I could have put these up a little higher, maybe a little bit the red line, because because if you put the green line a little higher, it's where it really hit these upper shadows, right? And this was here's another recent one. This is from right here, end of the year, end of the last year, 12/28. Here is this is the last slide, but here's one from literally a couple weeks ago, 330 or 325, March the 25th, team. Same thing, CGIX, if anyone remembers this trade. Decent one. I was holding its gains for a while. Had the nice spike in pre-market. Again, remember the ones that we've seen spike recently are just slow and steady movers, or what? Not the ones that have gone from 5 to 15 or 5 to 10 in pre-market, even 100% plus. We've seen those fade. It's been these small little, up to $5, up to $6 at most. 620 it was kind of hitting, but 5 to 6 essentially was the move. Nothing really major. It's opening at, it's probably was opening at like 20 or 30% up, if that, whatever it was already, 10, 15%, nothing much. Then it works its way up. But again, look, old resistance equals new support. That's finding your support and your resistance, team. It's that, I'm telling you, it's that easy. I hate to say, that easy, but again, it's again, look at this. We're going to go into a trade for today. Oh. Close her down there. Look at NAKD. Again, look at NAKD. Got to get in that 2-minute time frame now. Look at this. Look at this, team. Look at that. Old resistance. This is going to be strong if we pop up to it, especially a move for NAKD that's only gone, it's gone from 69 cents up to about a 10-cent pop. It's a decent move for NAKD. Look at the old resistance equals new support. Notice those things. It's that easy finding support and resistance. Or coming over here and going, okay, where's the, right here, what was the green line to today? The 13-day EMA is at 80 cents. Or 70, it's at 72. 72 cents. It always adjusts. 72 cents. So we know that area is super tough. Did pop just a little above it, but we know 72 cents is super tough. Got just above it, failed. So notice where your support is, where your resistance is, and a lot of it's just this, like this earlier. Here's a good support line. All right? Notice the bounces earlier, overextends. We get the one good bounce. We got a second bounce. We know third and fourth are getting iffy, right? But again, because look, this is really the first bounce. This is the second, this is the third, this is the fourth, to be completely honest, right? Overall. So we know when we move past third and fourth here, we're getting iffy. I mean, look at the second bounce here. And it probably goes back to pre-market there if I go back to NAKD. Actually, it goes back to after hours yesterday. After hours yesterday, let's see, can I put in after hours? Show post-market. Let's go here. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like Macho Man. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm going to say it like that 100 million times. Oh, look at that. I mean, that's all I had to do. Look at that. That's all I had to do, team. Scroll back to freaking after hours yesterday and look how, boom, whammy, whammy, whammy. So many people profited right here because of this, just because of this alone. Going, ooh, kind of like that SLS trade that I showed you where it kind of melted down to 240. Remember that one and it bounced straight up? Same thing. Notice it, and that was in, pre-market where the bounces were. And it was a little different where bounces were at, but the same type, same type of thought. We're going, hey, this can pull down to this old resistance equals new support. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Anyway, so it's that easy, team. And so boom, then when we crack it, right, we crack that area. Now we know that's going to turn into red. That's resistance now. Now we know this is red. That's it, though, team. It's that simple. Just go back, go, okay, we know this is resistance. Early on in the morning, say like you're reading the chart right here when we come into chat. If you're coming in right here about an hour, or even right when Dex starts talking, I'm like, oh, man, this would be a good bounce. I know I got to move at least back up to 75-ish cents or so. Okay, and then boom, that's your trade. Don't worry about the VWAP. That maybe takes them off the plate of the VWAP. But again, notice where your support is, where your resistance is. It's that easy. It's beautiful. It's beautiful sometimes when it literally is that picture perfect. We see it right here and then we bounce later. I mean, the pitch, take a screenshot, team. Picture perfect. Picture perfect. It's a thing of beauty sometimes. All right, but there's my lesson. Hopefully everyone understands that. If anyone had any troubles with support or resistance, hopefully that helps you out defining them a little bit easier there.